Hello everyone and welcome to CSCI 211. My name is Corey Nance and I'll be your instructor this semester. I wanted to create this video so that I could introduce myself as well as the syllabus for the course, talk about the due dates for the course, and to familiarize you with how the course is laid out in Moodle. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. At the very top of our course, we have a few links here. The first one is the welcome letter, which you should have received in your email. If you didn't, feel free to just click on this and read through that real quick. The next two links we're going to go ahead and go over. We'll start off with the course syllabus, and then we'll look at this tentative schedule. So the course syllabus exists in this Google document. The first page has very basic information about the course. So the course title, the section, the academic term. There are no prerequisites for this course. There's my contact information here. My preferred method of communication would be email. After that, I have some alternative means of communication such as Slack and by office phone. My office location is in the Academic Office and Classrooms 2 building, which is located right beside the wall building, sort of in between it and the Science Annex 2. And I'm located on the second floor in room 237. My office hours this semester are Tuesday and Thursday, 9:30 a.m. till noon, and then on Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Additionally, I'm available by appointment, so you can make an appointment with me either to meet in person or virtually. I have no problem with setting up like a Skype conversation or something like that if you needed to meet that way. There is a required textbook for the course, is Linux Essentials, the second edition. So the ISBN number is listed here. More than welcome to grab a copy of that off of Amazon or something. If not, our bookstores should be stocked with it. In addition to that, there are some technology requirements. So we will be making use of virtualization here in the course. So you will be required to have a multi-core CPU that supports virtualization extensions. Typically anything bought recently after say 2011 will have that. A good example of that would be anything that's an Intel Core i3 or better. Also, you'll need enough RAM to run virtual machines. I recommend a minimum of 4 gigabytes of RAM, although you may have a better experience if you have 8 or more. And then 60 gigabytes of free hard drive space so that we can store those VMs. If for some reason your laptop or desktop does not meet these requirements, we do have some lab machines here located in the tutoring lounge that you're more than welcome to use. They already have VirtualBox installed. We'll get into that installation here in a separate video. Our final exam for the course will be due December 13th by 11:59 p.m. Okay, so what is this course? This course covers core computer hardware. We talk about the relationship between components of the computer system. We also talk about software components, such as the fundamentals of computer operating systems and an introduction to virtualization systems. And as you probably gathered from the title of the book, the operating system that we're going to be learning from and using in this course is Linux, or a Linux-based distribution. Specifically, we're going to be looking at Fedora and Ubuntu. Okay, so our course objectives are, by the end of this course, you should be able to explain the operations of components in a computer system, select and specify components for a custom computer system matching a set of user requirements, install operating system environments and enable virtualization capabilities, and identify common GNU tools to accomplish a given task. These course objectives map to student learning outcomes, and these student learning outcomes are prescribed to us from ABET, which is an accrediting agency that accredits the programs in our department. Right now, IS and CS are accredited, and since our IT degree is new, it has to run for about 6 years, and we plan to do accreditation for that in 2020. So in preparation for that, you'll see that we have some IT only SLOs, and those SLOs, they just map back to our course objectives. So if you're interested, that's why this stuff is listed here. That's why this matrix is down here at the bottom. I do reserve the right to make any changes to the syllabus, but if I do make a change, I'll be sure to send out an email or make an announcement through the news forum in Moodle. Communication. So I had mentioned earlier that email is probably the best way to get a hold of me. When you do send me an email, please in the subject line put the course. So you don't necessarily have to put the section, but please at least put CSCI 211. And also make sure that you're using proper salutation, spell check, and you're checking for any grammatical errors as well. Phone is another method that you could contact me. If you do call, lots of times I'm not always in my office, but I am around. So what happens is when you leave a voicemail, that voicemail gets put into a WAV file and attached to an email that gets sent to me. So don't worry about if I don't answer the phone that I might not get your voicemail until I'm back in the office. I actually get that pretty much instantaneously and can check that as soon as possible. So our grades are broken down into categories. You can see there's 5 categories here. Discussions will be worth 10%. Exercises are 15%. Quizzes are 25. The midterm exam is 25. And then there's a final exam that's worth 25%. The grading scale is fairly standard for the university. It's the 10-point scale. In between these 10-point ranges, if you're in the upper bounds of those ranges, like from an 87 to an 89, I do award B pluses, C pluses, and D pluses. As far as student feedback, these are what you can expect from me. All assignments will be graded within 5 business days of the due date and returned to you in Moodle. Be sure to check the comment section because if you lose points, I do tend to put in the comment section why you lost those points. Of course, if there's any questions after that, please feel free to reach out to me. Emails will be answered by the end of the next business day. So if you don't receive a response, please just resend your message. I promise I'm not trying to ignore you. Every once in a while, I'll get an email while I'm out and I'll check it on my phone and make a mental note to respond when I get home or back in the office. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. Normally, I'm very good at responding to emails and I try to do that quickly. If any of these response times change or I'm going to be out of town or something like that, I'll be sure to notify you guys in advance. So instructional activities, for this class we're going to have readings out of the textbook. So each module corresponds to a chapter. We'll expect that you have read that chapter. And additionally, there are lecture videos that correspond to each module as well. As far as assessments, the assessments are really just those categories from above. Each week we're going to have an exercise and a quiz dealing with each module. Some weeks we'll go over multiple modules, and we'll see that here in a second when we look at the tentative schedule. Now, as far as due dates, unless it's stated otherwise, all the assignments are going to be due by 11:59 p.m. based on the Moodle server time. So the Moodle server is located right here at CCU. It's in the Eastern time zone. So if you're traveling or you happen to be taking this class remotely, please just keep in mind what our time zone is and adhere to that for the due dates. Late assignments will not be accepted. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you submit any work prior to the due date. If you're having trouble with course assignments, please contact me and come in early so that I can help you out. Don't wait till 9 p.m. the night of. There's a good chance that I won't respond to you in time for you to be able to finish the assignment. Okay, attendance. This is a DL course, so a lot of this just doesn't apply to us. An attendance or an absence in a DL course is operationally defined as a missed submission. So that could be a quiz, an assignment, or a discussion post. It's very important that here in the first week that you get at least something submitted to me. So we have actually a number of things due here this first week. If you do not turn in any of those, I'll have to report you to the registrar having not attended, and they will administratively drop you from the course. Now, if you do end up missing a lot of things, there is university policy that states a grade of F may be assigned for any noted absences, so excused or unexcused, in excess of 25% of the regularly scheduled class meetings. So basically, if you do not do 25% of the assignments, you could get an F assigned to you. So let's just work together and make sure that doesn't happen. As far as makeup for missed exams or assignments, that won't be allowed unless there's prior approval. With this being a DL course, it's a little bit more flexible, and I tend to give you a number of days to complete the midterm and the final, so I don't anticipate this being an issue this semester. Classroom code of conduct, this really goes hand in hand with the online code of conduct, especially since we'll be having just a few discussions going on this semester. What it all boils down to, and I want for you to go through and read all of this, of course, is to just be respectful of each other, be respectful to me, be respectful in your responses to other students. Try to avoid any overuse of text speak, the acronyms and such. So we really want for these discussions to be more formal. When it comes to something like the Slack chat, which you can get in there, it's basically a chat room, and each course I teach has its own room. You can join that. I don't mind how you speak in there. Of course, I want for it to be respectful, but I don't mind if you use some of this text speak in there. I think that helps convey some of the intention behind the message. Okay, so academic integrity. What this boils down to is any offense of plagiarism or cheating will result in a grade of FX for the course. So if I suspect you of cheating, what's going to happen is I'll submit something to our academic integrity officer, and there's a sort of an informal hearing that you and I will have, and we go over the allegations and the assignment and stuff like that. If I find that you did cheat from there, then I'll report that back to the academic integrity officer as an FX, and there's a whole appeals process if you don't agree with that, and all of that is actually laid out here in the Code of Student Conduct. Okay, so I encourage you to read through this. Make sure you understand what plagiarism is, what cheating is. It essentially boils down to just do your own work. Make sure everything you do is original. Okay, and then sort of wrapping up the syllabus here, disability accommodations. If this applies to you, please see our Office of Disability Services. They'll give you a form that you'll bring to me and I'll sign. At that point, I can start making accommodations. So before then, I really can't make any accommodations. I have to treat everyone the same and fairly. So if you do have a disability, please make sure you get into the disability services and have that documented with them. This last section, is just some general links here for the university that'll help you out. Some things like if you're not familiar with distance learning courses, there's some support services up here that I'd encourage you to go through. Generic resources like the library and counseling services, student computing services. If you're having any sort of technical issues with your laptop, you can bring that into them and they can try to help you. So you can look through this list and try to identify some of the services that you may need to visit throughout the semester. Okay, so that's the course syllabus. The next thing I wanted to go over was this tentative schedule. So this is sort of how I envision this semester working out for us. And of course, this is a half semester course, so it's really only 8 weeks long. We're starting off here in week 1. And each week has a specific topic that we're going to cover, and then specific deliverables that I'm looking for with those topics. So this first week, what we're doing is we're not going to get into the book just yet, so I'll give you a second to get out and get that book, but we're going to go over SI and IEC prefixes, and we're also going to get the virtual machine set up. So with that, there's going to be some deliverables. There's some quizzes that go with this SI and IEC prefixes. There is a VM setup lab. And then there's also class introductions. The following week, we'll go into chapter 5 of the book, and we'll also talk a little bit about hardware. Okay? And each week, every module has a quiz and an exercise. So you'll see that as a common theme throughout the deliverables. In the second week, we also have an additional assignment, which is a PC build lab. Now, we're not going to be actually putting PCs together. That'd be a little bit difficult in a remote type environment, but what we are going to be doing is picking out components for a build, meeting a set of specifications. Okay, the following week, week 3, is what I would consider a typical week in this class. We're going to be covering 2 modules, so 2 chapters, chapters 6 and 7. Each one of those chapters is going to have a quiz and an exercise associated with it. Moving into week 4, we're going to cover chapter 8, and this also corresponds to the middle of our semester, so we're going to have a midterm exam then. We won't be doing 2 chapters then, so that you have time to dedicate to the midterm exam as well, and that'll ultimately be due on 11/10. Of course, you are welcome to work on that ahead of time. Okay, the next week we'll do chapters 9 and 10, then we'll move into Thanksgiving break. We'll come back, we'll cover chapters 12 and 13, and then our last week of class we'll wrap up with chapter 14. During the exam week, our exam is scheduled to be done on 12/13, so you'll really have this entire week up to the 13th to work on the final exam. Now, I do have some important dates listed down here. If you're going to drop this course and not get any academic records, so no W, no grade at all, as if you were never here, you'll need to drop by 10/20. If you get into the course and things are not going well, you can drop by the 13th and receive a graded W. So a W does not factor into your GPA. Doesn't hurt you at all. And then lastly, on 12/13, we have the final exam. Alright, so the only other thing I wanted to do is just show you how the course is laid out here in Moodle, and I think going through the first week would probably be good. So let's look at the getting started week. Each module is broken down like this. There's module learning outcomes at the top. These are things that I expect for you to get out of the module that we're learning about that week. And then there's 3 sections. There's a watch, a read, and a complete. So the watch, as you can assume, is going to be videos. So there's a lot listed here. They're not all that long. And so I want for you to go through these guys. The reading, sometimes these are just the slides that supplement the videos. So if I go through slides in the video, I want for you to have a copy of those. You can find that under the reading. Other times there might be some documentation or some supplemental reading assignments that I have listed under here. And then at the very end, there is the complete section. So this is where you're going to find the deliverables for that week. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is each week when we move into these modules, or we do multiple, multiple modules, we'll have the assignments due that Friday. So by 11:59 p.m. on that Friday, for us, that's going to be 10:20. We're going to have these 4 deliverables due. Each one of them pretty much corresponds to one of these lecture videos up here. So we have those 2 quizzes, one for the SI quiz and the IEC prefix quiz. We have our introduction and then our virtual machine setup. Moving into a more typical week, one that comes out of the book, we'll get into like this module for chapter 5. We have our lecture video up here, and a few other ones like managing hardware and an introduction to this PC build lab down here at the bottom. And again, you can see it's following that same format. We have the slides that supplement the videos up here, as well as the assignments to be completed down at the bottom. Lastly, I just want to show you that all of the due dates are populated here in Moodle, so you can also use the Moodle calendar. I think there's a way to export this right here or turn it into an iCal, and you can import that into Outlook or something. Uh, but again, I do try to be predictable. So everything's due on a Friday by 11:59 p.m. except for that final exam. When we get into that, I think that's due on a Wednesday. So that's going to be our exception this semester. And you can see all of the due dates here in the calendar. Alright, so that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoy the course. Very happy to have everyone here and to be teaching this course again. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If not, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you.